Batman Caped Crusader is a show I was originally skeptical of. I feel like every time DC releases an animated show, I have to wonder if it's going to be geared for kids, and that was definitely the case here. But the question I really want to answer in this video is, does this show live up to its predecessors? The golden ages of DC animation, with Batman the Animated Series, The Brave and the Bold, The Batman, iterations of Batman and Justice League and Young Justice. These are the shows that I grew up on, and they made me fall in love with the character. I had hope when I saw Matt Reeves attached as an executive producer on this show because I was a huge fan of his The Batman. I'll answer all of this and more on today's episode of Television Tuesday, the show where we watch TV and tell you all about it. I'm your host, Kael, and today I'm talking Batman Caped Crusader. I'm gonna go ahead and start with some spoiler-free conversation here, and I'll start with, no, I don't think this is a kid's show. It has a couple of episodes that dive into some more mature themes, but it definitely is a show that kids could enjoy. Has some lighthearted moments here, and I definitely don't think it's ever going to be too mature and serious. But there are episodes like the Firebug episode where he literally sees children burning that make me say, oh, maybe this isn't just for kids. I still really enjoyed it, given I think this is the perfect show for kids that want to get into comic books or kids that want to get into more TV and film and the comic book world, and I love that because that's exactly what the animated series was for me growing up. This is also a really cool Batman Year One story that involves his relationship with Gordon, the GCPD, Gotham, and Batman is exposed to a whole roster of his rogues, and I really liked that too. Also, huge props to the art style here in the intro specifically because it's awesome, and I wish a little bit more of the show looked like this. But overall, I really enjoyed the show more than I thought I would. Spoiler warning from here on out. If you pass this threshold and get mad about the show being spoiled for you, Batman will come cripple you himself.
Easy, freak.
I want to go further into the villains here. My favorite thing about this entire show was the villains, and they take a look at some non-traditional takes on some of these DC characters. One of the ones that jumps out at you in the very first episode is gender-swapped Penguin, and I think her name is Oswalda. And it's not that I hated this iteration of the character. In fact, I think these characters have been done so many times. You know, gender swapping is something that, you know, really works in the case of like Martha Wayne, Joker, but I didn't know that I necessarily loved this Penguin, given you don't get to see any of her. So, you know, it's definitely a character that I'm interested in seeing more of. But the villains here are definitely some of the more bold and strong aspects of the show. In this sense, some of the episodes give me the vibe of the animated series, like Batman saving the kids at the circus, and how cool was it that all of these were his future kids. But going back to more non-traditional takes on the characters, we see Firebug instead of Firefly, a rich version of Catwoman, therapist Harley Quinn, gentleman Ghost, Natalia Knight, Automatopoeia, and acid-face Two-Face. A little different version of him getting his scarred up face, but it looks so creepy this way. It looks nasty. But he's probably my favorite out of this roster of villains, and it's probably because he gets the most screen time and he kind of has the finale arc to season 1. So I really liked Two-Face here. And it was also his friendship with Bruce that made the whole turn more impactful. Just some really good writing early in an animated show that I like to see. It sets up a lot of promise here. To go into some of the others, I really favor the Firebug story. Everything with his fire obsession and seeing burning kids, to the corrupt cops in the episode that let him go and kill him up on top of the roof. But my favorite thing in this episode is Batman and Gordon teaming up for the first time. You get the scene where he pulls his gun on Batman and Batman turns around with 2 kids in his arms and immediately just knows that Gordon's about to help him, and they escape together. But my favorite part of this is when you see Gordon lie to the media right after this, saying he didn't see the Batman. He covers for him, and it's kind of the first time we see them have a moment of being on the same team and realizing they're on the same team. And I can't help but think, because this is produced by Matt Reeves, that this would have been the perfect origin for the Matt Reeves verse, Batman and Gordon. And I got a little headcanon, it's there. I also enjoy the more clinical therapist approach to Harley Quinn, and it gives her this pool of victims, kind of. And it gave her a chance to run kind of her own full operation. And with Joker teased at the end of season 1, I don't know how their characters are going to cross over, if they even do in this version. Now, the other villains weren't bad. Like, I enjoyed Natalie Knight, more than some of the others. Gentleman Ghost episode I really wasn't that into. But I don't think the other stuff that I'm not really going into as much, I don't think it was bad. It was simply just cool, I guess. I wasn't over the moon about it, but didn't dislike any of it. And it's some of that other stuff that I'm like, oh, maybe this is some of the more geared for kids side of the show. But the end of the show and the Two-Face arc make me think that season 2 might lean into some of the more mature themes in the show. But one of the things at the end of the show that I really, really loved was, as Batman's leaving, he turns around and he's been calling Alfred Pennyworth the entire time. And it almost feels disrespectful in a way because of what we're used to when seeing Batman and Alfred, but it also just feels like they aren't two people that are extremely close to each other yet.
You're not my father.
I'm well aware.
But at the end, he calls him Pennyworth and corrects himself for just calling him Alfred. And you can see that they've become closer over, this year 1 of Batman. And I really can't wait to just see them continue to lean on each other more going forward. But does it live up to the hype? Does it live up to its predecessors, the animated series, Batman the Brave and the Bold, shows like that? And here's what I'll say, not yet. I think it probably is, right off the bat, better than The Batman, or, maybe even it's getting up there with The Brave and the Bold, but I don't think it's on the level of the animated series yet. But I think it could totally get there because it's kind of works the same, in a sense. Has the same format, structure, and style as the animated series. And I think they're taking a lot of inspiration. Obviously they are. I really appreciate the callback shot, the famous shot with the lightning in the back and Batman perched up on the roof. They're making calls to the animated series here, and they're using some of the structure, so I think it'll be as good, if not just near that level of show. Especially for an animated Batman show, you're going to draw in a big kid audience, and you're going to maybe stray away from some of the more mature themes that, more mature Batman fans would like to see, but I still think they're going to push their boundaries and do what they can with this show. We do have to remember that this is only season 1. Season 2 will be coming out in 2025, but let me know down in the comments, did you like Batman Caped Crusader? Did you think that it had similar vibes to the animated series? And is it ultimately just ringing your comic book itch, ringing your bell? We just had a lot happen over here at the Studio 24 channel. We just went through our Halloween Studio 24 horror month, where we released 3 short films: Rehab 404, I See It in Your Eyes, and The Ties That Bind. And, we worked on these short films for a really long time. We want you to go check it out, and I hope to see you there.